What's up everybody, my name is Gabe Deem and this is the Reboot Nation. It's a channel dedicated to helping people recover from today's high-speed internet porn related problems. Whether that's porn addiction or a porn-induced sexual dysfunction like erectile dysfunction or delayed ejaculation, where you need porn just to get off and you have a hard time climaxing with the real person during sex. This video particularly is going to be about the basics of rebooting. And rebooting is just our term for recovery. So one of the first questions you probably have is, well, what is a reboot? A reboot is a period of time without any artificial sexual stimulation. So that would be going without pornography, erotica, Craigslist, YouTube, Instagram, Tumblr, anything that arouses you that's not a real person. And the reason we call it a reboot is just so you can envision your brain returning back to its original settings, regaining sensitivity and letting the neural pathways that you create in your brain over years of watching porn wither away and weaken. So our term rebooting is just so you can envision your brain regaining balance. Alright, I just mentioned it, but you still might be wondering, why are people rebooting? Why are young people giving up porn? The short answer is because it screwed us up. We have the first generation of people that grew up with today's high-speed internet porn, and it's causing all kinds of dysfunctions and addiction. The two biggest dysfunctions are porn-induced ED, where a guy can get it up with porn, but he can't get it up with a real person, and he can't even masturbate without it. In severe cases, he no longer can get it up with porn either. And the other one is delayed ejaculation, where it's, I just mentioned it, it's difficult to climax with a person. It either takes forever or it's impossible, but you can still climax with porn. You can have an orgasm with porn and not with a person. Sexual dysfunctions aren't the only way porn use can negatively impact you. Others include increased anxiety and social anxiety, brain fog and difficulty concentrating, loss of morning wood is a real common symptom, loss of the ability to maintain an erection standing up, loss of motivation, and loss of libido for real people. This was actually seen in a recent Cambridge University study on porn users' brains that reported that 11 out of 19 subjects had low libido and erectile dysfunction for real people, but not with porn use. Another symptom would be morphing porn taste, where over time the material that you're watching becomes more extreme and more shocking. This is a result of your brain building up a tolerance and needing a bigger neurochemical hit in order to feel the same level of excitement. Put simply, you become desensitized and what used to get you off no longer does the trick. So you escalate into something different and you click to something new. These changes are likely due to changes in your brain's reward circuit. You become sexually conditioned to become aroused by a certain stimulus in a certain way. You become aroused by pixels on a screen and novelty rather than a real person. And it's not just happening to a handful of people with a handful of penis. A recent survey of people under 40 found that 33% of people said they were sure porn was ruining their sex lives, and another 19% said they weren't sure. When over half of young adults think it's possible that porn's ruining their sex lives, and a third of them are sure it's ruining their sex lives, that's a huge problem. But the good news is our brains can change our entire lives. So many people are giving up porn and curing these sexual dysfunctions and seeing all these other symptoms go away. It happened to me. I gave up porn and recovered. I got my ability to get boners back. Woohoo! And I also regained my motivation, my mental clarity, and my libido. The brain's ability to change in science-ese is called neuroplasticity. It can be summed up in the saying, when nerve cells fire together, they wire together. And when nerve cells fire apart, wires depart. So put simply, a reboot is a period of time to strengthen the pathways in your brain that you want, and a period of time to let pathways you don't want, the porn pathways, wither away and weaken. What benefits do people see with a reboot? As mentioned a moment ago, a lot of things can start looking up, like your penis again. And if you're a woman, the ability to stay lubricated and aroused during sex can come back. Other benefits include, but are not limited to, increased confidence, increased mental clarity, increased motivation, increased sex drive and libido, and finding the things that you became numb to once again arousing and desirable, among other things. And you literally will have more time on your hands for other healthy, productive things rather than staring at pixels on a screen. Just saying. How can you tell if your ED is related to your porn use? There's a simple test you can do to at least rule out performance anxiety. Step 1 is see if you can get hard to porn. You don't have to though, you can simply just remember if you could the last time. Step 2 is see if you can get hard to just your hands touch alone using no porn and no porn fantasy. A young healthy guy should have no problem getting it up without porn. So compare steps 1 and 2. If you can get it up with porn easily but you can't without, then you probably have porn-induced ED. If you can get an erection without porn, but you have erectile dysfunction when you're with a real person, then you probably have anxiety-induced ED. If you have ED with porn and without porn, you either have severe porn-induced ED or you have some other organic problem, and it's always smart to go get checked out by a good doctor just to rule everything else out. But a reboot can never hurt. I personally had to have porn to get an erection. When I tried to masturbate without porn, even using my imagination, I could not get an erection. But as soon as I turned on porn, I could get an erection. Take that into consideration. Even if you have severe porn-induced ED, we've seen tons of guys recover. And again, going without porn and seeing what happens can never hurt. What must I do to reboot? What do I need to avoid? Well, first of all, you need to avoid all people, sunlight, and water. Just kidding. The only rule we have is stay away from porn. You want to avoid all artificial sexual stimulation. So this means cruising Facebook for hotties, searching YouTube for booty shaking videos, anything like that on social networks or whatever you want to avoid. If it's not real, no deal. Because doing something like that mimics your porn use might reactivate addicted or conditioned pathways in your brain, and that's what you want to avoid. As time goes by, your brain will regain sensitivity and those conditioned pathways will weaken. However, if you're a young guy with porn-induced ED, you may have to rewire your brain to a real person. Rewiring doesn't mean sex, it means just being around and interacting with people. It means kissing, cuddling, holding, interacting with, and maybe even just thinking about a real person. Those all may help. In short, you want to avoid porn and spend time around real people. Also, for guys with porn-induced ED, it may be beneficial or even necessary to go a period of time without an orgasm during your reboot in order to help your brain regain balance and sensitivity faster. This doesn't mean that you can't have sex. Slow, gentle intercourse while avoiding orgasm has been seen to be very beneficial for rebooters. This style of sex, I know it sounds crazy, but it's called carezza, and if you're interested, Google it. How long does a reboot take? There is no answer for this, as everyone's brain is unique and there's so many different variables that go into a person's development, history, and life experiences. However, there is a trend that we're seeing. Older guys who didn't grow up wiring their brain to porn during their adolescence are tending to recover a little bit quicker, usually within a couple weeks to a couple months. Younger guys who did grow up watching high-speed internet porn from a young age, deeply conditioning their brain during their adolescence, their brain's most moldable years, are taking a little bit longer. However, there are exceptions in both groups. One thing that's usually ignored when talking about porn's effect on the user is the adolescent brain. A young person's brain can wire up stronger, more deeply and quicker than an adult brain, and this is playing itself out in what we're seeing in recovery times, where younger guys are having a more difficult time regaining, libido and sexual function when you would think it would be the other way around. However, don't let that discourage you. I started watching internet porn at the age of 12, and I had used porn before then, and deeply conditioned myself all through adolescence for porn. And I recovered, so you can too. Remember, as long as you're alive, our brains can change, so there's always hope. Don't get caught up in how long recovery is going to take. Just be patient and have hope. How do you know when you're recovered? Recovery can be hard to notice until you notice you're hard. You won't know if you no longer have ED until you no longer have ED. But like I mentioned earlier, not everyone's giving up porn to cure sexual dysfunctions. There's other reasons, and I have a list of signs to look for right here, so I'm going to go ahead and read them. Number 1, you can achieve a rock-solid erection just by touching and sensation alone. No porn, no fantasy. Remember, it's not wise to test frequently, so this should only be done if you're feeling good about the following. Number 2, you feel like connecting with people and you notice satisfaction on everyday things and a sort of appreciation for the small things like a cute girl's smile. Number 3, you no longer crave porn at all and you desire to interact with real girls. This is a good sign your brain knows the old wanking habits are gone. Number 4, your sexual thoughts change. For example, you know, if you see a beautiful girl, the first thing you think about isn't a facial, but rather just how beautiful she is or how good old, you know, regular sex would be. Number 5, you're getting fairly consistent morning wood and maybe some spontaneous erections during the day. I'm not big on spontaneous erections. As you grow up, we get what I call boner control, and you're not just going to be popping boners like you're 13 anymore. Number 6, semen leakage, if you had any. When you go to the bathroom and take a dump, some cloudy stuff comes out, some semen in your urine. And that tends to go away after some time. Number 7, sex, if you're able to have it, feels amazing. Number 8, if you had delayed ejaculation, you can now orgasm with a partner. Number 9, after an orgasm, you do not feel a long-lasting drop in sex drive, you know, known as the flat line. So when you have an orgasm, you no longer have a flat line. That's the case for me now. It took a while, but I'm there. Number 10, your refractory period shortens. A refractory period is the time it takes in between orgasms for you to get another erection. And you know, over time, if you continue to reboot, that time tends to get shorter and shorter. Like I said, there's no way to tell for sure, but those are just some signs to look for. What are the difficulties of rebooting? The 2 biggest difficulties would be withdrawal symptoms and the flat line. Withdrawal symptoms from porn use can look real similar to other addictions, and they usually come in the form of anxiety, stress, lack of concentration, and difficulty sleeping, probably because all addictions share some of the same fundamental brain changes. The other difficulty would be the flat line, which is a complete drop in libido, and you just feel like a zombie, and it can be real scary because you feel like you're broken and you're not sure if you're ever going to recover. I was in a flat line for about 6 months. Some guys come in and out, you know, during the reboot. Some good days are followed by bad days and vice versa. So just be prepared for a roller coaster ride and know that your emotional roller coaster is normal. Regardless of what happens, as Winston Churchill said, if you're going through hell, keep going. There's always hope that your brain can change. There's always hope that you can recover. Alright, that covers the basics of rebooting. If you want to know more about rebooting, check the links in the description box. If you or a loved one's been negatively impacted by porn in any way, head over to our site, rebootnation.org. It's a free place where you can get help, ask questions, get support. And I hope this video was helpful. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Much love. Bye. Slow, gentle sex. Semen leakage.
I tried to masturbate. I could get an erection. So